Hello, I'm Fred Weinbaum. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Chief Medical Officer at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. I'm filling in today for Bob Challoner, our Chief Executive Officer. I'd like to welcome you to CTV's Focus on Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. Today we have with us Sarah Cohen. Sarah Cohen is a physical therapist who has done an absolutely spectacular job in helping us to put together and manage an outreach program for Parkinson's disease to help serve our population of patients who have that illness. And I think that you'll see from what you'll hear today that we present some very unique and very comprehensive programs that really help people attain a much more normal life and the ability to live with this illness to the maximum capacity. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to Southampton?
By accident.
Good.
I moved out here about 10.5 years ago. I studied at Columbia University, graduated in 2007, and moved to Sag Harbor for my husband's work, actually. It was supposed to be for 2 years. And I like to say we got stuck in the most beautiful place imaginable. And I've been at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital ever since. I've been here for 10.5 years in the outpatient department.
Now, you've been a physical therapist with the hospital for many years. And it's been in the last 2 years that we've really developed this program for Parkinson's disease patients to help them achieve the kind of physical well-being that they should be able to achieve. What started your interest in this?
I started as a teaching assistant actually at Stony Brook University, and through that started learning more about rehabilitation services for people with Parkinson's disease, and went on to receive my certification in the LSVT BIG protocol, which is a physical therapy protocol specifically for people with Parkinson's disease, and started seeing the benefits and the impact that it can have on people's lives in a very real way with my patients here at the hospital.
So tell me a little bit about the BIG program.
Sure. So it actually developed out of the LSVT Loud program. LSVT Loud started in 1987. And LSVT stands for Lee Silverman Voice Therapy, actually, and that is a speech-language therapy treatment focusing on increasing voice amplitude and the quality of speaking. The protocol.
I hate to digress right now. You mentioned LSVT Loud. Is that program available at Southampton Hospital?
It is also available here in our rehabilitation department. Yeah, it's really wonderful. Both the LSVT Loud and the LSVT BIG is structured in such a way that we see patients for an hour every day, 4 days a week for 4 weeks. So it's a very intense therapy protocol, and the research certainly supports it and shows excellent outcomes for some patients.
So BIG, what is BIG? I mean, why call it BIG?
Yeah, good question. Everything we do with the LSVT BIG program is big, and it is loud. The theory behind it, or the thinking behind it, is that with Parkinson's disease, our movements tend to become smaller and slower. But with conscious input, with thought and with conscious input, patients can actually increase the amplitude of their movements. And so we do these very big exercises, and we translate those big movements into functional mobility. So into our walking, we do big walking, we do big stepping, we do big turning. And through that practice and self-awareness and sort of conscious input into what they're doing, patients can increase their step length, their stride length, their ability to turn and move, and we have seen some wonderful outcomes.
And that's particularly important to patients who have Parkinson's disease. Sarah, have there been any studies that support the use of that type of treatment?
Yeah, the research looking at LSVT loud is more conclusive. It's been
Right.
around longer and there's been more research conducted. But there is the beginning and a lot of interest actually in trying to validate and prove the efficacy of LSVT big as well.
Right.
There was a great study, it's called the Berlin study, that suggests that the LSVT big protocol can be very effective in improving balance and gait measures with these patients.
And it's really gait and balance and the restriction that people feel in mobility with Parkinson's that impacts their lives so greatly, from activities of daily living to the ability to really participate in the full range of friendships and society.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, so at Southampton Hospital we have loud and big. And the object with that, and I can't even say that without wanting to get loud and big, but the object of that is to increase the amplitude of the voice, meaning the loudness of the voice, and the ability to move in large part in a big direction so that patients are not restricted to that small kind of mincing type movements that you oftentimes see. In patients who have not engaged in these treatments, is there anything else that we're doing for those patients in the community that can be helpful?
Yeah, so as part of this program, the Parkinson's program, we've developed a community-based wellness aspect of it. And it really came from a couple of different areas. One is the growing body of research looking at the relationship between exercise and Parkinson's disease. Right. And I would say at this point it is quite conclusive in some areas. And the other more personal observation was the realization that many of my patients who were going through the LSVT big protocol were doing well. They were improving in functional measures, in outcome measures, in gait and balance outcome measures. But then I was seeing them 6 months later down the road, and they had sort of gone back to where they were when I initially saw them. And so I started to notice a need and space in the community to be able to say to our patients, it is important to keep moving, it is important to keep exercising, and these are some options available to you to help you do that. So that sparked the beginning thought process of this program, of this community-based wellness program.
What are some of the elements of that program? What do you do out in the community?
We started in September of this past year in 2017 with the Rocksteady Boxing program, which was developed in collaboration with Epic Martial Arts in Sag Harbor. We also started with a very unique program developed in collaboration with the Parish Arts Museum, actually, and also supported by the American Parkinson's Disease Association. And we have grown and we will continue to grow. We are starting with a Tai Chi class at the Hampton Bays Ed and Phyllis Davis Wellness Facility, as well as a yoga class here at the hospital. Right. And if you look at the research on exercise, it's hard to say that there is one specific modality or one specific exercise that is better than the others. But we do know that it's important to exercise regularly and consistently. And so by taking it into the community where people live and offering a wide array of different classes, my goal with this program is to be able to motivate and engage people to continue exercising on a regular basis.
Tell me a little bit about this Rocksteady Boxing that you're talking about. I happen to know some people in the community who are suffering from Parkinson's disease, but what I've heard from them is that they've engaged in that program. They participated in BIG and other treatments, and that Rocksteady Boxing has really been life-changing for them. Mm-hmm. What is Rocksteady Boxing? How does it work?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is a non-contact fitness program.
So they don't actually punch each other out.
They're not actually punching each other out. It's a non-contact fitness program inspired by boxing training. Okay. It started in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Can you show me a move? Or is it left,
My
right?
jab.
Go ahead.
I did go in August to become certified. I'm not
Okay.
a boxer, but I went with Michelle Deljourno, who is a boxing coach in Sag Harbor, and
Great,
she's our
great.
head coach there. And the premise behind it is, one, it is intense. People
Okay.
work hard. And we know that's
It's motivating,
important.
you know.
It's incredibly motivating.
Yeah,
So these
yeah.
classes are conducted in a group setting, and so you
So
develop
at the end, do you feel like you
friendships.
could really slug someone?
Exactly. Hopefully not the other
No,
people in the
not
class, but
Not your loved ones.
we have a headless heavy bag named
Okay.
Bob, so we slug him
Bob?
when we,
Oh my
when we need to
God.
get it.
Just don't call it Fred, please.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, that's not such a good thing. But there's a huge sense of camaraderie that develops in these classes. And you were saying, part of one of the secondary consequences or symptoms sometimes of Parkinson's is social isolation.
Right.
And so to be able to get out into the community and engage in a group exercise class setting can be beneficial on many different levels.
It sounds like the focus is not on the problems that you have, but what you can do and what you can accomplish. And just being together in a community of people who really show each other all the great things they can do must be very inspiring.
It's incredible. These aren't patients, these are boxers, they're
Right,
fighters,
right.
they're athletes.
You know, and I think it's a fight against the illness, but it's also a fight to get fit and a fight to get
Absolutely.
strong.
Yeah, it's incredibly motivating for people.
You know, I think it's both a metaphor and an activity, and it's something that I've heard so much about from community members, that they've been inspired, that they have never been in better physical condition despite their illness, and that in fact it provides them with a community of like-minded individuals. I don't think there's anything more powerful than a group of like-minded people
a
getting
same
together
goal.
for a common purpose.
Absolutely, I agree.
So where can you get involved in Rocksteady Boxing?
Yeah, so I do require an initial intake with all of our boxers, with all of
Okay.
our participants. I do that.
Okay.
And I do that.
And where do you do
yeah.
that?
What do I do?
Where?
Oh, where? So I can do it here at the hospital. I can also do it at Epic Martial Arts in Sag Harbor if that's
Okay.
easier for some people, depending on where they live.
How do they make that initial contact? What do they do?
They need to call the Ed and Phyllis Davis Wellness Institute here at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. And the number there is 631-726-8800.
Okay.
And we will go ahead and set up an initial intake. I also require medical clearance from their doctors. I see this as a collaboration with the medical team.
Right.
To make sure we're safe with everything that we do also. And then they're good to go. They register for classes the same way.
Where do
by
we
call-
give the
yep.
classes?
The classes are held at Epic Martial Arts in Sag Harbor,
Sag Harbor.
which is 75 Main Street in Sag
Okay.
Harbor. And I'm very excited also to announce that we are starting a class at the Ed and Phyllis Davis Wellness Institute in Hampton Bays on
Fabulous.
Monday. So that's very exciting. So we'll be able to offer the boxing classes in Hampton Bays also. The registration is the same.
What type of costs are involved in that for the patients?
We've been very fortunate so far to be able to offer all of these classes and offerings at no charge to the participants, which is truly a gift.
That
There-
is. How can we sustain that in the long haul?
We are looking for certainly support
Donations.
from donations. We've had some support coming in from our participants, which
Great.
is incredible.
Great.
And we certainly are looking to grow that.
I think that's an important fact that the community needs to know, that these activities are supported by Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. And the individuals involved are, really getting a tremendous service, and the participation in providing support for those activities are things that friends, family, everyone should be encouraged to do.
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a great program. We want to see this go on forever.
I agree.
Now, Rocksteady Boxing is a great program and big is a great program. And there are people who do one and not the other, and do big, don't do rock steady boxing, do the boxing, don't do big. Would you recommend that people do both?
That's a great question. Not necessarily. The advantage of coming through the rehab department here and going through LSVT Big and having an assessment with a physical therapist is it also allows us to identify baseline data. We can tell you what your gait velocity is, how quickly you walk, and what that means to you. And it also allows us then to be able to do a reassessment, say in 6 months' time, and let you know where you are at that point as well. And so there is this push in the rehab world with Parkinson's disease to sort of have these periodic reassessments so that we're constantly working as a team to maintain optimal fitness and health. And so there is, I do see there is an advantage of that. It also allows us to identify unique areas where an individual might need extra assistance, whether that's in strengthening or flexibility or in functional mobility. And so coming through the physical therapy department and having an assessment, going through the LSVT Big protocol might be a wonderful way of being able to do that also. But it is important, the wellness classes are offered independently, so people are certainly able and encouraged to sign up for the boxing and to participate in the wellness fitness classes. But there is certainly an important role, I think, for the rehab department here and generally in monitoring health and making recommendations to patients as well on what is best for them.
Great. So what I'm hearing is that people can be self-referred. You don't need a physician referral to get into the wellness program. You probably do need a physician referral for the physical therapy Big, the speech-language therapy Loud. That if you do come for rock steady boxing or yoga or one of the other programs, we're going to want to do an intake. And we're going to want to get a clearance or at least a recognition from the patient's physician that this is an activity that is safe and reasonable for them to participate in.
That's correct.
One of the things I hear from members of the community is how wonderful it is to have that social setting with the rock steady boxing or yoga, and that they're making friends in the community and they're seeing how much people are accomplishing in the community. Tell me a little bit about those social interactions. What have you observed?
Oh, it has blown me away. It is the one element of the program that I did a lot of research as I was putting this together, and it's the one part of the program that has caught me by surprise and really blown me away, and I'll give you a couple of examples.
I'd love to hear them.
I texted our head coach in Sag Harbor, Michelle, I think after the second class or after the third class, and I was nervous and I wanted to know it went well, and she's usually very good at texting me back and being responsive, and I didn't hear from her. So I sent her another text, and an hour went by, and finally she called and she said, oh, I was having smoothies with the boxers in Sag Harbor after class, so I didn't get your text right away. So there was almost an immediate
connection there.
Connection made, yeah. And when I was in Indianapolis for the Rock Steady boxing training, one of the boxers there in Indianapolis who'd been boxing for a long time at the headquarters pulled me aside and said, everyone deserves a place where they feel comfortable and where they have a community, and Rock Steady boxing has done that for me. And I see that happening here, not just with the Rock Steady boxing, even with the Parish Arts program. It's designed to develop community. We ask that people come with a care partner or a loved one, and there is a lunch afterwards that's at no charge to the participants and sponsored by the APDA. And
that has outside support.
It does. The American Parkinson's Disease Association and the Parish Arts Museum is sponsoring this program for us, and it has just been amazing and overwhelming.
I think it's really true that when you do have some kind of physical limitation, your world gets smaller. It's easy to allow your world to continue to shrink. It's easy to have concomitant depression and to snowball into inactivity and not do the movement that really actually helps you to achieve more. And that vicious cycle really is unfortunate when it occurs. And having this sort of activity can really break that cycle, get people out, have them together with other like-minded individuals, create a social climate where people are anxious to show what they can do and to prove they can do it and expand their world. So what I view this program as doing, and it's been of particular importance to me as well, because it takes patients in our community, it expands their lives, it makes their lives better, richer, both in a physical and mental and social way. So it really helps treat the patient all around. How did we start this program? Where did this come from?
We started last January or February. It's been, when I go to conferences, to Parkinson's conferences in the rehab world, which I've been doing quite a bit in the past 9 months, and I tell them that this came from hospital administration, they are blown away. It's unusual to have such incredible support from the administration, and I feel so lucky that that is the case here, and I think it's one of the reasons that the program is so successful. But it started about last year around this time, and we started brainstorming how we can increase and improve resources and services for this specific patient population. And it has grown quite quickly. We started in September with 5 boxers in Sag Harbor, and we now have 28 boxers, and 5 boxers signed up for the Hampton Bays class on Monday. So it's been very exciting to be a part of and to experience. And there are new programs in development, so I hope that we will continue to grow and develop as well.
We're doing community lectures too, aren't we?
Absolutely. We were in Riverhead, at the Riverhead Free Library. Dr. Maccabee gave a wonderful lecture there, and she will also be in Hampton Bays in March as well.
And I think it's going to come as an interesting fact for our viewers that this is something that the Board of Trustees was presented as a strategic goal for our hospital to develop this type of neurologic outreach program for patients with Parkinson's. I think that it was a perceived community need, and we were just fortunate to have Sarah Cohen in our midst, who can really help us to develop this spectacular program. Let's get back to Sarah. Tell me more about your training and how it came about that you're able to do all this.
I started at Columbia University, I mentioned. I graduated in 2007, and even there I knew that I wanted to focus on neurologic rehabilitation. I did my capstone research there in that field, and had the great fortune of starting at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital as soon as I moved out here, and I've been here ever since. I've loved it. I feel very lucky to be here. But I've always been drawn to neurologic rehabilitation. I also, as well as working with people with Parkinson's disease, work with individuals who are at high fall risk, and so that's my other passion is
balance.
Balance, exactly. How do we decrease fall risk and help people stay safe at home? Working on people improving balance and walking and mobility. And had the great fortune of working on this Parkinson's program and have loved every minute of it.
Now, you come from kind of a medical family, don't you?
I do.
Tell me a little bit about that.
My father is a physician. He's retired. He was a pediatric radiologist in Indianapolis for over 30 years. And when I told him I wanted to...
And Indiana's loss is our gain.
Yeah, thank you. I told him I wanted to go to medical school, and he said, "You're crazy." So that's how I ended up in physical therapy school.
Well, I'm glad he said that, but in a way I'm not glad. You would have been a great doctor.
Oh, thank you.
I know you care so much about the patients you serve. Now, Dr. Maccabee is one of our neurologists who you work with, and there's also Dr. Rashid Zada and Dr. Krishan, and they all work within the Meeting House Lane medical practice. I think there needs to be a tight integration between neurology, family medicine, internal medicine, and these types of programs in order to maximize the benefit that we can have for patients. What I see, though, is I see that rock steady boxing, the yoga now, those activities are being subscribed to. I think big is something that we need to encourage patients to take advantage of more. The inconvenience of coming in each day for an hour is more than balanced by the gains that people have. But the other program, Loud, it's easy to neglect voice. And people who are out there who go through this are making great strides physically. And sometimes it's hard to recognize that your voice is getting lower, you're projecting less well, you're getting quieter. How do we encourage people to really take advantage of all the potential therapies we have to offer?
I think education is a large component to family members, to the patients, to the doctors in the community, certainly, that these services are available. And
we go on CTV
exactly.
And we tell the community.
Exactly. Letting patients know the importance of these services,
right.
too, and what the potential impact can be in their lives. You talk about change in voice, and that can also lead to social isolation. Communication disorders and difficulties, and I think it's very important that people, access these resources as they are able. In terms of the community wellness component of the program, I'm actually working with our speech-language pathologist here, who is certified in the LSVT Loud, is helping to collaborate on a group singing program that we hope to launch this spring. And so again, just tying in, I see the wellness component as a continuum of care. It does stand alone, as we talked about. People can access it independently, but it is also a wonderful way for people to continue what they learn here and the progress they make here in the rehab department in the community once they leave.
Well, we've talked a lot about Parkinson's disease. We've talked a lot about the kinds of treatments. We mentioned that we're expanding in Hampton Bays, and I understand we're going to be doing something in Riverhead as well.
Yep.
What activity are we planning for there?
We will be doing an 8-week Tai Chi course
Tai Chi.
At the Riverhead Free Library starting in July.
What is Tai Chi?
Good question. I'm not intimately familiar with Tai Chi.
Not a martial art like boxing.
No, but it is actually one of the modalities that has been shown in the research to decrease fall risk.
Okay,
more
so
than
it's a
any
balance.
It's a wonderful,
It's
there's a
about
lot of weight
balance
shifting.
and wholeness.
Exactly, yep.
Well, this has been really a great conversation, Sarah. I'm just thrilled with everything you're doing.
Thank you.
I think the hospital is proud of the programs we've put together, that you've put together. You've helped run and organize. The combination of neurology, speech therapy, physical therapy, and a whole variety of wellness activities has really expanded the lives and created excellent opportunities for all our patients in the community with Parkinson's disease, but this is just one example of what we've been able to do here at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. I'd like to thank our audience for taking the time to be with us at the CTV Focus on Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. I'd like to remind everyone that if you have any questions or need any further information, that you'll be seeing a number for administration where you can make any queries that you feel you need to. Thank you very much for spending the time with us.